Admitting a few people. There we go. Couldn't start my video at first. So hi, I'm Loretta. I'm your president of INC, and today we have elections. So I want to go ahead and get started because we have elections and we also have an exciting time for our awards this morning. So it's really going to be wonderful. I'm excited for the planned event because that is a great way for us annually to actually award our stars and people who we honor who've been working with INC over the years. And so I'm very excited for that. We have about 50 people, well, now 52 people. So we have a good, somehow I got muted again. I don't know if you heard me, but we have a good group of people. And I want to make sure that we admit everybody and we have everybody on because I know there are additional people who want to watch the awards. So I'm pretty excited about that. All right. So really, really exciting day. So the other thing is we have as I said, we have our elections. Sorry, I'm always admitting at the same time. So we have elections and we have candidates, and we will, if there are candidates from the floor, we will receive those also. So I want to go ahead and start with that, but I want to welcome everybody on a day that was supposed to be cold and blistery. And yeah, what happened? We don't have it yet. And I've heard it's not going to be as big as what we thought it would be. So, well, that's good for some of us, but we do need the water, that's for sure. So we'll see what happens, but stay safe, everyone. And welcome to our annual meeting and combined awards ceremony. Okay, so the first hour we will deal with we're not going to do updates today. We just don't have time from committee updates, but we will go into elections. And I want to start off with candidates that we have for vice president. Now, I have 3 candidates. I don't know if there are more. If there are more, please, if you are wanting to put your name in the hat, whatever, please let me know and put it in the chat. That's probably the best way because there's so many people, it's hard to see everyone and scan through and make sure that you're raising your hand, etc. But let me put it in the chat to me personally, to Loretta, and then we'll know. But I want to start off with our current vice president, who I think most of you know, who's also on our membership committee. But I'd like to start off by just saying what we'll do this morning. So we'll start off with everybody having 3 minutes to go ahead and introduce yourself, go through and explain who you are, what you bring to the table, how you're going to help INC move forward, because we have a lot of work to do, and INC always has a lot of work to do, but we want to move INC forward. And part of that has been, Zoom. We've been able to connect with more people, and we've been able to connect with a variety of people and include more people, which is very important for us. But the other thing is that we're going to do some intensive work on diversity, inclusion, and equity. So we want to work on those issues, and we really want to bring in other neighborhoods. So if you can come to the table and tell us, your background, kind of what brings you to this position, and how you can help INC. So as those of you know, our current vice president, who I brought on, Trupti, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Great. Yes, thank you. My name is Trupti Suthar. I live in Sunnyside United Neighbors, and I've been active in my RNO over the last 6 years. So really, as soon as I moved here, I wanted to know what was going on. We have a changing neighborhood, a lot of development going on. So I became active right away. And while I always try to stay informed, I joined the leadership almost 4 years ago when I, first as treasurer and currently as president. One of the first things I did was to get our RNO back into ink, because I, believe the value of this connectivity and this organization and how it could serve our RNO specifically, but also broadly. Over the last 3 years, I've worked I'm sorry, I'm looking down because I wrote some stuff down. Over the last year or 3 years, I've worked to engage with surrounding RNOs, build and strengthen relationships within our community to include businesses, schools, nonprofits. I've demonstrated my commitment to the neighborhood where I've become a trusted partner to many, and I cherish that. People at this point call me and say, hey, I've got a problem. How can you help me, with my business? Can we work together? So I've really enjoyed that kind of thing. I've done everything from Facebook posts to website updates to fundraising. As leaders of a volunteer organization, such as an RNO and this, we have to wear many hats sometimes because the buck has to stop somewhere and things just have to get done. So I'm comfortable with being able to do that. I'm comfortable with public speaking as well as, technology. George asked me last year before the elections, but then the pandemic and then elections happened. And later Loretta asked me to step up, and seeing that the role was empty and there was a need and I had the capacity, I, decided to join. And I knew it was interim, so I knew I had the opportunity to decide if it was a good fit for me, whether I could bring value. It's not about what I want, but more about what I can do. So I knew I had a few months, and then I could decide in March now whether I wanted to continue doing that and if the fit was right. Well, I've enjoyed my role on the Inc. leadership. I believe Loretta's vision on inclusivity, diversity, and outreach to communities currently not engaged is what Inc. is needed, and it's the right direction for Inc. As an immigrant, this resonates with me, and I can bring a different but valuable perspective to Inc. leadership. Inc.'s mission is fairly simple, and Loretta, please tell me if I'm running out of time. I didn't practice this. Inc.'s mission is really simple, right? To bring citizens together to inform and empower Denver neighborhood organizations to actively engage in addressing city issues. And like Loretta said, I embraced the membership part of, it became membership committee chair because I think that's how we're going to do this. So, we can best fulfill our mission by broadening our reach. So even if I'm not elected to the board position, I made a commitment to membership, and I will still fulfill that because my word and integrity are the most important things. If you allow me the privilege to serve in the role of VP, I promise to be the best ambassador for this organization and its mission. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Trupti. I appreciate that. All right, next up, can we have Jane Lorimer? Jane, are you available? Can you unmute? There you go.
Good morning, sorry. Hi, my name is Jane Lorimer. I currently serve as president and delegate for Winston Downs neighborhood. My background includes executive positions with major companies and running my own successful consulting business for over 15 years. Excuse me. As some of you know, I've been involved with INC for quite a few years. In the past, I served on the board, and I've served as committee chair for membership. I established the budget chairship. I've served on the bylaws committee and led it at one point. I've been the awards dinner and communications chair. My focus has been on building our membership and the structure and organizational processes, as well as the programs to drive financial stability, such as establishing an annual budget, establishing the awards dinner sponsorships program, and the tiered dues membership. I've also organized several of INC's educational events, and those were designed to meet the goals to bring fair, balanced education about citywide issues to the public to meet our goals and missions. More importantly, I look forward to participating in INC's work to create a positive environment in which any individual would feel welcome, respected, and valued enough to want to participate with us. Excuse me. And I know in the last year, there have been many polarizing issues facing our nation and facing this city. And these are not the first issues that Denver has faced, nor will they be the last. INC is one of the institutions that has the wherewithal to bring people together to hear issues from all sides and take that information back to their respective neighborhoods and various groups so they can make informed decisions based on facts and not so much on emotions. In short, I bring organizational, process, and leadership skills, and I bring a strong desire to see INC succeed in meeting its mission to advocate for and empower Denver citizens in collaboratively addressing city issues. And I know how to get things done. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Jane. I reserved a few minutes. Those are our two candidates right now, unless there's anybody else from the floor. I haven't received another, chat, another request in the chat for anybody else. But if you are interested in being VP, let me know right now. Otherwise, I'm opening this up for a few questions. Whoa, there's my timer. So sorry about that. Do we have any questions? Oh, there's one. Lou, do you have a question?
Yeah, thank you very much. I thought you said there were 3 candidates running for.
Well, I thought there were 3. Someone just pulled their name off. So,
Oh, okay.
So
then,
we just have 2 now. So,
okay.
Sorry about that.
I mean, these are obviously 2 really terrific candidates. And my question was, in the bylaws, it says you go ahead and take the vote for that position. Once it's filled, then you go to the subsequent position. And my question is, since these candidates are really terrific, if one of them isn't elected to VP, then if we take that vote now, then they could also run for delegate at large. So,
right, but we didn't put it in the. We're doing it by SurveyMonkey. If you look at the chat, I've explained it, and I'll say it again right now. So that brings up that issue. So, and Maggie, you might want to chime in. We're doing it via SurveyMonkey, and we came up with a way that it works. So we have VP, and so VP will be the position that comes up, and then we go from there. So you have to vote for the VP first, as per our bylaws, as close as we can get through SurveyMonkey. So that's how we're doing it. And then if there's anyone who wants to be in the other positions, Jane and Trupti, if you want to let us know, then let us know, because that's important. But we will be doing the election via SurveyMonkey. It will open. Maggie, do you want to chime in a little bit about it?
Well, we'll be sending that the SurveyMonkey after our celebration. But people can certainly opt to run for other positions, and they could be added to that ballot. But that's the only way that we could think. You cannot vote for anything other than the first one. After you've voted for vice president, only then can you go to treasurer. Only then and after that, that's the way that we came up with to fulfill the bylaw requirement.
yeah, my only question really goes to Jane and Trupti, who both provide so much value according to their backgrounds, that we would have to then ask them, please, if you, it'd be great to have you both on the board. Can you put your names in then for delegate at large? That would be my question.
Okay, Jane just said that she will run for delegate at large if she's not chosen. And Trupti, I see you shaking your head yes.
I would too.
It's one SurveyMonkey, but if you've done SurveyMonkey, you probably understand this. You can't just skip to question number 2, right? You can't just go to I just don't care about VP or treasurer. I'm going to go to delegate at large, right? You can't do that. You have to vote on VP, and then you go to treasurer, and then you're going to go to delegates at large. So everybody has to go in that sequence. So that's kind of how it works.
But it does skew the voting, because you're not able to establish that and then fix your next slate. I understand the difficulty, and I appreciate the way you guys are trying to run it, but it's really not in accordance with the process of the bylaws. And you know, I'm an I daughter and T crosser, but to me, it just makes it more difficult, even though you have to go in that order, it doesn't sift like the bylaws say you're supposed to sift. But having said that, everyone in these times are doing what they can do to try to run their organizations as closely as possible. So
Well,
I applaud your efforts.
Yeah, and so when I spoke to parliamentarian before, I mean, we have to adapt to the times, and so we're all trying to work, and we couldn't even have had meetings. We would have had to like not have meetings at all if we would have just kept doing how we had done it, because we were meeting in person. So instead of changing the bylaws abruptly, we ended up just having elections and meetings. So that's what we've been doing.
There's a lot of questions coming in, I think, in chat, and that I think Maggie and Loretta probably, you know, like Lucia is saying, you know, a separate survey monkey for each position. I think.
No.
Okay. I mean,
No, like I said, like I explained, it's, you can't just skip to, it's question number 1, question number 2, question number 3. So you start with, you know, and then we will add people to the list if you know, it's like race. Lucia will know, because we had this at our neighborhood meeting this month. We had ranked choice voting. You could do, I choose you as my first candidate, I choose you as my second candidate. This is going to be like this, but we could add you to the list. And Trupti, you're also saying if you're not VP, then you will be delegate at large. So both people, so whoever takes the most votes will be VP, then the other person will be delegate at large. So just so everyone knows that. Okay.
Unless others also running for delegate at large.
Unless they're also, yeah. Greg, that opens it up to you, because you're the only other one who's not running for delegate at large.
Hi, I'm Greg Sorensen. I'm a delegate from Friends and Neighbors for Cheeseman Park. I've been involved with Cheeseman Park for 6 or 7 years, and I do the website and the newsletters. For 3 years, I've been the budget chair for INC, and then I took over as treasurer last July after Steve Nissen resigned, and Steve did great work. I think one of the great things that INC did last year was award $25,000 to neighborhood organizations in the midst of the pandemic. And I would hope that we can expand that effort in the future years. We've established a community fund. It has a separate bank account, but my hope is that we could grow that and start supporting neighborhoods where there are so many groups that are doing great work, and we just need to find a way to help them do that. So that's my spiel. Let's keep it short.
So Greg, again, is running for treasurer, which I really appreciate, because it's, you know, it's a good thing to have. It's a tough thing to have, but it's been really great in a transition year. I think, you know, INC has had, you know, we had the dollar dictionary, we had other things where we did donations. This has been our shift. And so this shift changed during, you know, the pandemic, so that we could actually address needs in our community. So I think that's been a positive thing to try and get those funds out there. And I think it's been something that we all appreciate, and we'll work further towards that. But I think it's good for INC, it's good for our community. So just want to pull that out there. Let me ask from the floor, is anyone else interested in running for treasurer? And the other thing is, we have an audit committee. So if you want to volunteer for that, that's the other option. So please let us know, or in the chat, send a chat directly to Greg about the audit committee. But I don't see anyone else interested in treasurer. So he's the only one. So the question then to you, Greg, is if you, if you're the only one there, you're probably going to be treasurer. But I just am going to ask if you would be interested in at large, just to ask you the same question.
No.
Okay. All right. So
without anybody else running, doesn't Greg just become treasurer by acclamation at this point?
He can become treasurer by acclamation, and I think we can go ahead and do that. And I don't see anything else, and I don't see any other reason, because we definitely want him as treasurer. So I'm gonna say, can we go ahead and say by acclamation that Greg is treasurer? That will eliminate that issue. So thank you very much, everyone. Next up is, I see some thumbs up, I see clapping. Thank you very much. Thumbs up, yes, by acclamation. I think we have that. All right. Next is delegates at large. The one person, we know these two backup people, but the one person that I know that I'd like to hear from, and I'm going to set my timer on, is Judy Baxter. I would love to have you go ahead, and I'll give you your 3 minutes, and then we have questions. Thank you.
Terrific. Good morning, everyone. And I appreciate having this chance to throw my hat in the ring here. I am with Historic Montclair. I've lived in Denver for 50 years now in lots of neighborhoods, but the last 13 here in Historic Montclair. And I've been on the board for about 12 of those 13 years and have shared the vice president and president position with Carrie O'Shea over the last 6 or 7 years. I'm starting my 3rd year as president of Montclair, and having seen a lot of changes and impacts to the neighborhood with the changes that are happening in Denver, and that Montclair represents a little microcosm, as we each do, of what INC is facing in general. I am quite committed to INC's mission of bridging and engaging the entire city in all of its diversity, and think that that's something we need to bring down to our local our local organizations, as well as up to the larger. I recognize that, you know, with the kind of change and growth and expansion that Denver has to keep its character, the diversity, it's challenging. And we have to recognize that and accept and be willing to act on the understanding that we've excluded as we've gone through our growth and development, a lot of voices and a lot of perspectives. And to really enhance and to grow our character, we need to address that exclusion and build real and meaningful ways for understanding and working with all of our neighborhoods. And to get those voices and perspectives, we will be richer for it. And I really appreciate the kind of work on diversity, equity, and inclusion that Loretta is spearheading, and I really welcome a chance to be a part of that and learn for that. And the rest of me has been a faculty member at the University of Colorado at the Anschutz Medical Campus in the School of Public Health, and as a trainer in leadership development. And also, I'm a sociologist, so I know how to write surveys up one side and down the other, and looking to think about ways of engaging community in creative and important ways to get those voices in. So I bring a little bit of that to the party, and really think we need to get all of Denver right here in this room, and appreciate actually getting to know you all in the case. Actually, I think Zoom has brought us closer. In some ways, I know your faces a lot better than I would in a big room, and have a chance to speak to you here. So I thank you for this opportunity.
It's nice we can put a name to the face too. Isn't that nice? You don't have to wear a name tag. It's
Yeah.
right below your face, which is awesome. Thank you so much. Do we have other candidates for at large? Please throw your name in the hat. Please let me know if you're interested in at large. We do have 2 positions open, so I do hope that someone else would throw their name in the hat. Please let me know if you're interested. Unfortunately, we're losing both Drew and Hank because they're both term limited, correct? And Hank, unfortunately, you know, we hope to have him back in some other capacity soon. And Drew, we want to keep you engaged also, but Is there anyone else who wants to throw their name in the hat, or does anybody else want to just like nudge somebody else out there and tell them that, hey, we want you to be in there? So please let me know. Okay. I'm not seeing anyone. I'm going to keep it open for just a minute. Does anybody have any questions for Judy while we wait for somebody else to nudge someone else? Oh, Trupti, you're muted.
Sorry, I actually don't have a question, but more a comment that about surveys and how important it is to actually do surveys well, because they're usually done poorly. So I really appreciate someone with that background, and I, on the membership and the outreach and some of this work, I will definitely be asking you for some help. So I'm so happy you mentioned that I know we have another, we have a specialist in this area. So thank you very much.
Well, I think it's really important, and have seen how varied they are in terms of quality, just in terms of getting good data. I've been a researcher for 38 years, and in community, that's my deal, is how to build and sustain community. And I think it's a challenge right now to know who we represent, to even figure out how to get the voices in the room, or to know which voices are there. And actually, surveys are one of the places that we might have a shot at getting that diversity of voice. So a well-done survey can be useful. A poorly done survey is almost a waste of time. So in my view, but that's.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah.
Keep chatting all. There are two people who can't get on, and I want to make sure, because one of them is one of our board members. So I want to make sure that I send the link to him. So let me get that out there, and sorry, I'm gonna keep doing that. Does anybody have any more questions? I'm excited for what we're going to do moving forward, and I hope that you all will move with us as we kind of move through and hopefully out of the pandemic world. So I'm hoping that we can at one day soon hopefully move together in person. And so we'll see if we can do that. But right now, at least through, we're hoping through the summer, maybe early summer, I'm not sure when, we'll still be working remotely via Zoom. Our meetings, just for those of you who are interested, our meetings for the executive committee are the second Monday of the month. Those meetings last from 6:30 to 8:30. We have a child in the background.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Loretta. This is James Brezniak from Sunny, and you're correct. My son is currently in the swing, and I unmuted so I could ask a question when there's
Oh, good.
an
Okay, well,
opportunity.
go ahead and ask a question then.
Thank you very much. That's my son, Axel. He's an important constituent as well. So my question was for the candidates for Vice President, Jane and Trupti. We talked a little bit about empowerment and inclusion. I think it's extremely important that those aren't just words we toss around, but actions that we take. Bringing people into the RNOs, bringing people into Inc., bringing some new blood in, bringing some minority populations in. Could you talk a little bit about how you would plan to do that, and also speak to your record in your individual RNOs as far as how you've been able to do that? Thanks.
Jane, if you want to go first, go ahead.
Thank you. Speak to our individual RNOs. We have long included renters and homeowners alike. I happen to live in a diverse neighborhood with a lot of people that like to be involved because we make it comfortable for them to be involved. We value everybody's opinion. We have had some issues where we are on different sides of the fence, but we know how to have meetings where everybody's position gets heard. So it's in a respectful way, and it's a code of conduct that we exercise. When I was membership chair, we had over 100 RNO members within INC, and it took a lot of work. INC has changed over the years, and it's going to take even more work to reach out to all neighborhoods and keep them involved. And to go forward, I know that INC is planning DEI training, which I think is going to be very helpful. And if surveys come back to life as they used to be, and they're done well, I think we're going to learn things that we need to be doing that we're not currently doing. So I support all measures that get a broader group of RNOs back into INC.
Thanks, Jane. Well, James is with Sunnyside, so he's obviously familiar with me. You know, we struggle on participation, and I don't think we found the answer to, you know, what we can do different. And this is back to the survey. One of the things I think we need to employ more locally as well as with Inc. is going to be the survey and really asking people what they need and what their challenges are. And then internally, and both for our RNO as well as Inc., it's back on the organization to then do something with that information, which is, you know, what's our value proposition back? And I think value proposition is an area we struggle with. We don't articulate that well either. So, but we can't come up with the value proposition without asking what their challenges are. And I think that is the way that we're going to do this. Now, on Inc. Specifically, and as membership chair, one of the, Jane and I have talked at length about some of the challenges. So, you know, we're kind of on the same page about a lot of these things. But one of the things that we haven't done is actually more footwork, right? Which is actually calling people, which is actually networking and asking, and maybe going to some of their meetings. Now, I understand that that does take a lot of work, and I don't have a 9-to-5, which is why I say I'm able to do some of that work. In my own neighborhood, you know, I talk to our businesses on a very frequent basis, and they reach out to me and I'm responsive. So it's kind of about building a relationship and then actually having, you know, following through and being that trusted partner. So it's not enough just to say, hey, I'm here, I'm a trusted partner. You actually have to demonstrate that. And I think that's where the hard work is. And that's kind of what we're focusing on for Inc. membership this year is, you know, we sent out an email that says, hey, folks, please join Inc. You know, we've now identified areas that we don't have enough representation. And there's actually 2 or 3 of us already starting to make phone calls to reach out and talk and find the community leaders, even if there is no RNO currently, right? And then maybe help them if they're interested on becoming an RNO. So it's that kind of footwork that's necessary. And my goal for Inc. as membership chair is going to be to find more people. There's people in chat on every one of these calls who say, hey, I'll help. And I reach out to them and say, okay, how can we work together? You know, so that's kind of how I think we can execute on the membership, the outreach is understand their challenges, address their challenges, find more foot soldiers to help with the work. That's what I think is needed. I hope, hopefully, James, that answers your question, at least from my perspective.
And currently, I mean, there's been a few RNOs who haven't renewed their membership. So that's the one thing that we want. I don't know why my video is frozen, but it is. Just to let you know that we're working on making sure that we have all the membership updated. If you haven't paid your RNO hasn't paid their membership dues, unfortunately, you can't vote in this election if you're planning to pay now going forward. But again, those membership dues go to, you have the benefit of SurveyMonkey for your own RNO. It helps fund our grant money that we give. We also have small grants that we give to RNOs, like matching funds. So those are things to know. There's another question from Trisha. Do you have a question? Your hand's up, so.
I do. Sorry. Can you hear me? I'm trying to get myself on video and unmute. I nominations closed at this point. Loretta?
I'm sorry. I opened something else, so it got a little blurry there. What was your question?
I just wanted to know, are nominations closed at this point?
No, they're not closed at this point. We're leaving them open for a little while just so that we get nominations.
Okay. I was just curious as to whether or not they had been closed. That's all. Thank you.
No, if there's anybody else from the floor who wants to be at large, please let us know. But I haven't seen anybody throw their name in the hat or nudge somebody else. Drew?
Question, and I'm sorry if I'm kind of dense about this. This is Drew Dutcher from Elyria Swansea Neighborhood Association. I'm leaving as a delegate at large. So when we vote for vice president, we have a choice between Jane Lorimer and Trupti Suthar. Sorry if I didn't pronounce that correctly, Trupti. But then we go to delegate at large and there's only one candidate. So there's been questions in the chat. Can one who has not been elected vice president, either Jane or Trupti, can they run for delegate at large? Do they want to? And is SurveyMonkey set up so they can? Because
we already just went through that, Drew. So I'm just
sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm going to go through it one more time so everybody knows, just in case they join later, they didn't hear. But we asked the two VP candidates if they would be interested in being at large. So whoever receives the most votes for VP will be VP. Thank you very much. I'm glad we have two people. So I'm glad that we will have someone. And then whoever is not, both candidates have said they would be interested in delegate at large. So whoever is not VP will be delegate at large. So we know they'll have, unless they received only a minority of votes, but we don't have any other candidates. So they will be by, de facto, they will be a delegate at large. So because we only have Judy running as the delegate at large right now. So we will have these positions filled. All right.
That
And
really means, given this relationship and this decision, we really only have one other delegate at large position.
Right. Mm-hmm. So what we'll want to do is make sure that we have those delegates. If you're a delegate, you'll be able to vote. And so that SurveyMonkey will be sent out to delegates so that you'll be able to vote. Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and close this because we don't have anybody else. And I think we have it all answered. So I want to just say I appreciate those running. I appreciate you all voting. Jane, do you have another question?
Well, thank you for letting me run. I do have a question. So are all registered delegates voting or just those who are attending today?
Trupti, do you want to answer?
Actually, I don't know that I have an answer to this. I think this is a little bit of a process question. So I think I would ask,
in the past,
leadership.
In the past, it has been the people who have attended the meeting. Just as if we were doing this in person, only the people who attend the meeting would be able to vote. And we do not have absentee ballots.
All right, so there's your answer. So we will go ahead and for those people who are attending, then you'll be able to vote. And so we'll have the list. Fortunately, through Zoom, we'll be able to get the list of who participated, okay? And make sure, again, if you are a delegate, and unfortunately, I feel bad because one of our other at-large people has not gotten on yet, and that is Emmett, and I don't see that he's gotten on yet. So I know he's trying to get on, and I sent him the link, so I don't. Emmett, are you on? Yay! Okay. Woo, you get a vote.
Okay.
So very important. So, okay, good. I just want to make sure that those people who can vote, and plus he is a current board member, I want to make sure that you'll be able to vote. So thank you for joining us. And I'm going to go on to, we have one issue. So we know who the candidates are. I'm going to put them in the chat so that everybody can see that again. And then, so the candidates for VP, again, I'm going to go over that, are Jane Lorimer, Trupti, and I will mispronounce your last name too. So, and Suthar, and then there is at large we have Judy Baxter, and Greg is our sole person for treasurer. So by acclamation, Greg will be our treasurer. Yay! I see some clapping and some thumbs raised. So yay, Greg! Thank you very much. Thank you. And then the other thing is that we have a motion from Zap that I want to share on the screen. So I want to put that forward. I don't know if Ian is here. And is it letting me share? Am I able to share? Oh, there we go.
Your co-host.
Yeah, I was going to say, let me find where it's at. It's always a mystery because I have a million things up on my screen, which is my problem. Nope, you don't want to see that one. I don't know if that's it or not. Oh, no, that's not it either. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of a hard time. I had pulled it up ahead of time and I'm not seeing it. Let me go back and find it for you all. Adrian, do you, or, Ian, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, you are. Ian, let me try and pull it up, but if you want to go ahead and at least it's not letting me just close it. Okay, hold on. So let
Are
me
you trying to share your screen?
I'm gonna no, I had pulled it up and I'm not finding it on my screen right now. So let me find it again. I had it pulled up prior to the meeting and so I will find it. Okay, sorry about that. Ian, do you want to just introduce, or Adrian, do you want to introduce it before I get there?
Happy to do it. Ian Thomas Tafoya here, co-chair of zoning and planning for Denver INC. At our most recent meeting on the 27th of February, we had an update about expanding Affordability Advisory Committee, which is a committee that we were already part of that was doing incentive height zoning, that is now turning to looking at more than one solution for expanding affordability in Denver. And this working group is exploring a lot of ideas, including inclusionary housing requirements for affordable housing in these rental projects. And a motion was made by Adrian from Baker to support this House bill, which is moving through the legislature at a pretty fast pace. I believe it's already cleared out of the House and it's now on to the Senate. The executive committee met on Monday, the 8th, and this is all written up here, you can see. And thanks to Joel Noble, who also helped write a majority of this to help bring the timeline of all the events together. The INC executive committee met, reviewed the position and the proposal, and we looked at the timeline that we were on and the ability for individuals to go back and to talk about the individual House bill and every single piece of the legislation. And we didn't think that that met the time frame that would be needed. And so it was suggested, and Adrian accepted, moving to a different motion about us supporting the intention of what this bill is, to give the cities and counties more ability to set affordability requirements with new housing developments. And so that's where we are. That is the motion that I believe is on the floor, correct?
Correct.
Does someone have to put it on, or?
Correct. And for the record, I will move that INC supports the intention of Colorado House Bill 21-1117 to give more latitude to cities and counties to be able to set affordability requirements on all new housing developments.
Joel Noble from Curtis Park seconds.
All right, we have a first and a second. Does anybody else need me to keep this? I'll keep it on the screen, and I scrolled it up so that there's some links with a little bit more information. And the one thing I want to add to this is that, again, as Ian said, this is to give cities and counties more flexibility. And so that's why it was brought up at ZAP, because it does relate to, specifically to cities. So I don't know if there's any discussion. I think I can't go to see who has a question or not while I have my shared screen. So I don't know if, Trupti, can you do that? Or I don't know if you can right now.
I'm sorry, no, I cannot.
Okay, so I have to take this down off the screen. Does anybody need more time to read it? Just say yes or no. I don't hear anything. If you unmute yourself and you need more time.
We have a question, Tricia. How can we vote when we haven't had a chance to discuss with our neighbors? I need to educate them about this and get a sense of their views before I can vote.
I think the one thing we might do is do it on SurveyMonkey. I don't know. I think that may be the best way to do it. We only have a few minutes before we'll go straight, and we have no time to really have a long, lengthy discussion because we have a very planned agenda for the awards. So I think the best way to move forward on that is have this go through SurveyMonkey. And I know with short time, it may be, taking it to your board of your local RNO.
If I might, Madam Chair, just briefly speak to the timing here, which is by any accounts unfortunate. This is going through the legislature right now. And so time in this particular case was of the essence. And at ZAP, we felt it was important to have INC's voice heard in this area. It was put to a vote at ZAP. It went to the board, and I believe the board unanimously, I don't know whether it was unanimous, but came up with this articulation of the motion. And so whilst it's regrettable that that this can't go back and forth as previous previous motions have in the past, timing is of the essence here. So that's why it's before you today.
I think the other thing is, Ian, if you want to address just briefly, we've talked about housing and inclusion, especially if you haven't watched or you didn't attend the renter forum we had. Was that in 19? I think it was in 19. Ian, if you want to address that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to put my camera on this time. I was trying to read at the same time. This conversation about inclusionary housing, I think, has come to ZAP in multiple forms from different speakers over the years, and conversations about bills that were moving at the state legislature and locally. It is, this conversation came up throughout Blueprint and then also in our housing plans. I know that several of our council members have come out in support of it as well. But the two-side argument, I do believe we did present both sides, though that wasn't in the last few weeks, and I understand where people are coming from. But here to answer any other questions about what we've had at ZAP over this time.
Okay, great, thank you. Now that, and we can post this on the website. And then additionally, I think, Maggie, can we send this out as another SurveyMonkey?
Sure.
Okay, great. Perfect.
That would be a good idea. I'll also send the link to the forum that we had on that. I believe that was at the beginning of 2020.
Okay, yeah, I just know it was at a time frame pre-COVID. That's all that I remember. You know,
Exactly.
it's like
I
we're all
think
like
it's the last
pre-COVID,
time.
COVID, you know, that's where we are. So I think that there's a question from DJ JAY. Yes, if you want to unmute, go ahead. Thank you.
Hey, this is Kathleen.
Oh, Kathleen, I was going to say.
For me, the operative word in that motion is the word all. And are we really meaning that we want the ability for someone to be able to do something on every single housing development that comes up in the entire city? Because we could take out the word all and it still has the intention of to give the flexibility that they need to do the housing. But when you're saying all, that's a pretty big word.
Well, this inclusionary housing already exists for properties that are not rentals. So if someone were building, they would have the ability to do this. And so this would be extending it to rentals. And so I think that's what brings all into the market. I don't know of any other spaces that wouldn't be part of that.
Well, then there could be a different kind of housing in the future. It's just that it's a very broad brush to say all. So I'm just pointing it out. We don't know what the future will be. I know what the intent is and why we're doing it. I just am questioning that. Do we need to say all? And if you put it back on the screen and read it without the word all, it still has the intent of supporting what their position is. All is just big.
Also, a lot of concern in chat about having enough time to really be for the neighborhood.
I'm not 100% sure I understand what all means. And so I would feel a lot more comfortable if we didn't have that word and just we're supporting the intent of what the motion says without that word.
This is Joel. The word all here, and you're right, it's not entirely clear to those who aren't following this, was intended to mean both rental and for sale. But as someone who seconded the motion, I have no objection to either adding that clarification or, as you suggest, removing the word all. The intention is that the bill will just give the cities and counties the ability to come up with their own regulations, not to yet recommend on which housing it applies and what circumstances at what size. So Adrian, I don't know if you have any thoughts.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. To me, I believe the House bill does refer to all new housing. That is, it covers all new housing, and I think it's appropriate to have the word in this motion as well to convey that. The history of regulation of housing has been conspicuously over the years not applied evenly to all, and so I think this that is an important part of this. I would agree to including a description of what all means, but that might not take into account new forms of housing. For example, the cooperative living housing systems that are currently coming on the market. So I think all is an important part of this. So I would prefer to leave the motion as it stands.
Without clarification, it doesn't tell you what is included. And you just answered the question for me by saying, we haven't included this, and it's going to throw that into the mix too. I just think I've said my piece, but thank you for your consideration.
I think the thing is that, you know, maybe the thing is to look at the House bill, and if our intention is to support that may be more clarification, but I don't know if we want to draw something up that would add to that before we send it up. Gertie, do you have a question or a comment?
I just would like to add that I think one thing we're missing here is that this is not saying Denver has to do anything. What it is saying is opening the door for Denver to be able to address these issues, which have previously been foreclosed because of rulings out of the Supreme Court interpreting existing legislation, statewide legislation. What this does is open the door for Denver to address the issue however Denver chooses to. And that's the time when we can get the pros and cons of what gets presented to city council or whatever. But I think it's important to move forward on this because it is moving through the legislature quickly.
Thank you so much for that, Gertie. And I think that really kind of helps, and maybe somebody else wants to chime in, but it's like, it's not saying Denver has to do anything. It's just saying we want to be able to have this option. Then I think INC, if it were something to come up again, like Gertie said, in the future, then we would want to bring it back again to either ZAP or to INC at large, and we will be able to discuss that specifically. But I think just in order to allow Denver to have this option would open up some opportunity for discussion about more, affordable housing. So I think that's a big deal. And so thank you very much.
Loretta, if I could just follow up.
Yes.
Gertie, I think that was a great summary. I would also say that INC is already at the table. Inclusionary housing was something that came up a lot with the height incentive alone, and now they've expanded it to this larger conversation. So we already have a seat at the table when it comes to making decisions, if this even makes it through the legislature.
So I appreciate that, and I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and send it to someone else. Have a question really quickly. We have 2 minutes. Judy?
Yeah, just one question about what is the course at the state legislature?
Okay.
So what's the time frame for us to get this vote done and get it out to our communities to?
So I have the bill pulled up here on the state website. It looks like it's going to the House floor on March 15th. And then from then it will be scheduled to a Senate committee. I cannot tell you a timing, but what I have heard from talking with the individuals from our last vote is probably by the end of March, this issue will either have been decided for or against.
Okay, I appreciate that. And I think for anyone else, if you want to watch the discussion from the last ZAP meeting, that's also an opportunity. And I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and send this out as it is at the moment. I think if you want to take more time to review that, I'm going to take that back and we can take that back. I know in short-term things, when we get issues that are like zoning issues or anything for RNO, if we have to take it directly to the board, we might have to and not go to our delegates of our RNO. So that may be the issue that comes up, but hopefully you'll have the opportunity to send this out and discuss it with your RNO quickly, because we want to get this, and I think we'll close the survey by, what date should we close the survey by? Ian, let me know if you think we need to get it closed by.
Well, I mean, so we know it's going to the House floor on Monday. So we'll know on Monday if it passes out of the House or not. I think it's expected to. And then I can follow along with it if you'd like and let INC know if it does get scheduled for a committee and what that track is on. The other thing we could do is we could reach out to Susan Lontine, who is one of the sponsors. Serena Gonzalez Gutierrez is a sponsor. Julie Gonzalez, Senator Julie Gonzalez, and Senator Robert Rodriguez, also from Denver, are all the sponsors for this bill. So I bet we could reach out to one of them to maybe send us a note about the process if you want. Loretta, I can help facilitate that.
Okay, that would be great. And then we'll send out all of you, if you have the opportunity, we'll put this on the website. We will get the Survey Monkey out, after Monday, but it will be after the election. So we'll get that out and we'll get that out to you. So, and in the link, if you have not looked, Maggie put in the link. She also put the link to the forum. It's in the link. And I just want to say, we have to end this conversation. I'm going to hand this over. We'll hand over the reins. Maggie, if you can hand those over to Jane Potts and to our esteemed committee, and we're going to move forward with the awards now. So thank you very much.